More than 2 years after hundreds of Egyptians were killed in the democratic revolution, the country is still waiting for justice. Tomorrow, prosecutors will try once again to convict ousted President Hosni Mubarak. He was sentenced to life in prison last year for ordering the killing of protesters, but his attorneys appealed, and Egypt's highest court ordered a retrial. The 85-year-old Mubarak is in frail health, currently receiving treatment at a military hospital in Cairo. Mubarak's first trial riveted the nation. Egyptians were stunned to see the man who'd ruled with an iron fist, looking vulnerable in court, forced to answer for his own actions. We spoke with journalist Ethar El-Katatney in 2011. Soon after Mubarak's trial began.
Very shocking on a lot of levels. You know, you had first the excitement, and then you had silence, and then you had a lot of people actually tearing, you know, how the mighty have fallen. This was...
Ethar is joining us now from New York. Thank you so much for joining us. That was then, this is now. I mean, how do you feel about what's gone in between?
Well, I definitely think the retrial tomorrow is very anticlimactic. In fact, I go as far as to say that a couple of dozen people doing the Harlem Shake outside the Muslim Brotherhood headquarters will actually got more news time than tomorrow's retrial will be. No one's really gonna pay a lot of attention to what's going to be happening simply because so much is actually happening in the country right now. You have a breakdown of law and order, you have increasing sectarian tensions, you have a crackdown on media activists, and you have a collapsing economy. So the here and now is there's so much chaos right now in the country, so Egyptians are so focused on that the retrial actually seems more of a chapter that's been closed.
It's symbolic in many ways for people, isn't it? Individuals now, as you say, it doesn't mean a huge amount to them because they've got so much else going on. But are you able to define really what he represents, what this trial represents?
I don't think it means as much to many Egyptians as it did a while ago, simply because the new president and the new kind of regime after the military, people dying again in Port Said, the breakdown of the police state, all that's been happening on the ground right now, people are so focused on that the retrial for a lot of them is simply going to be a letdown. All the interviews with people who've actually had family members who died during the revolution, you'll find that a lot of them have lost hope, not just in the prosecution, but in their own lawyers. And the report that President Morsi had allegedly demanded the more investigation would be going on, no one's actually heard. Some of that report's been leaked, but the findings haven't actually had much airtime. So I think, especially also because a lot of Egyptians are actually increasing in sympathy now towards Mubarak, that, you know, maybe under his day, yes, we had no food, we had no freedoms, but we still don't have those things, but we're actually poorer now and our lives are more difficult now than they were then. So actually you have a lot of people increasing in sympathy for him.
Is the revolution dead?
It's definitely not dead. It's still ongoing, but I think a lot of people are just very exhausted. You have even the activists themselves. People have become more apathetic, more lethargic. And when the shift towards the economy, you know, our foreign reserve have more than halved since 2011, our balance of payments. You have almost half the population either under the poverty line or just above. And the first demand of the revolution, you know, bread, then freedom, social justice. And when so many more Egyptians' lives are actually harder in terms of getting food, it shifts the focus not so much from the politics towards the actual daily life. But it's definitely not dead, and as we've seen in past weeks, there's been actually an increased crackdown on activists, on journalists, and on lawyers. So it's not dead, it's just tired right now.
Ethar El-Katatney, thank you very much indeed for joining us.